This is the Expect Miracles podcast. Enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of the Expect Miracles podcast. If you are enjoying the show, subscribe for weekly episodes and be sure to leave us an amazing review. It really helps spread our message. You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Kevin Pecca, Facebook at Montclair Upper Cervical Chiropractic, my website, www.drkevinpecca.com, and my email, drkevinpecca@gmail.com. Wow, do we have an amazing episode lined up for you today. Wendy is a mindset meditation coach and success strategist. But more importantly, her journey to where she is now is what really inspired me because the road here has not been easy. I really loved hearing Wendy's story because it is one of triumph, the pursuit of happiness, and helping others. After suffering from a stroke in her early 30s, Wendy knew it was time to make a major change in her life. She hit rock bottom hard. She could no longer physically work and had no idea how she was going to support her family and be the mom she wanted to be. Being physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted, she took this time to heal herself and figure out what she wanted to do with the rest of her life. Wendy is now healthier than ever, thriving and helping others do the same. Wendy brings something different to the table, and that's what I love about her and our conversation together. It was pure joy hearing Wendy's story and all the amazing work she is doing and all the people she is able to help through her own healing journey. I really love these stories. They are my favorite, and I know you will enjoy it too. Please welcome Wendy Louise. Today on the Expect Miracles podcast, we have a very special guest, Wendy Louise out of San Diego. She is a mindset strategist, and I am so excited to have her on because her story is phenomenal. It's why I created the podcast, and I'm very excited to jump into it today. Wendy, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me. This is such an honor.
Thank you so much for coming on. And usually I like to start off the show with just like a little introduction of where you come from and where you grew up and what you were into.
Yeah, 100%. So I grew up a military brat. I mean, until I was like age 7, we lived in Germany and then we went to Alabama, North Carolina. I mean, like everywhere. I'm very used to not having a super big comfort zone. And I grew up with very traditional parents. My mom was a real estate agent, kind of running her own business. My dad, he was a pilot in the Army. And I remember him sort of going to work some days because he could be mobilized within 24 hours and did like a lot of like special missions. And he'd go to work and just not come home. So, and the big thing with my parents being traditional, and when I say traditional, this is what I mean. And I think a lot of people can relate to this is, hey, Wendy, you can be anything you want to be. You can do anything you set your mind to, right? As long as you have to. This was, even to this day, my dad will still say this to me. College is not an option. And whatever, you do, whatever it is you set your mind to, my mom would say it needs to make you independent. It needs to come with a good paycheck. It needs to provide a certain class, right, of lifestyle. And so even though I was really super creative growing up, I loved to just sit there and play. And I call it meditation now, but it's like when they just sit there and they daydream. We would go on car rides and we could be on a car ride for like 12 hours. I mean, really. And the entire time I'd be off in my own land. You would never even know I was in the car. Oh my gosh.
That's a beautiful thing.
I know. And it was my happy place, right? I could create whatever I wanted to create. And I feel like a lot of kids feel that way. And it's unfortunate that we
stopped doing it.
We do. We're like, stop doing that. Or to kids, right? Why do we stop doing it? Because your teachers would say, what are you doing? Are you daydreaming? You got to do your work. Pay attention. Stop doing this.
Absolutely. Wendy, there's one thing I wanted to ask you. Do you think it was beneficial for you later in life that you didn't have a home base? Did that help you in any way growing up?
I think it could go both ways. I think that it is all based off of your perspective. So for me, to be honest with you, we have continued that lifestyle. We have traveled for the last 2 years. I continue to work in anesthesia, and our kids, we have always done it with this preface of, when you're not happy, we're going to stop. And it's so funny because my daughter last night is showing me school buses, because we always stay in like Airbnbs and stuff. And she's like, we need to have an RV. I want to keep traveling. We need to like convert a school bus. And as a kid, there were times when I said, I wish I still had the same friends, because you're constantly moving.
Right.
And then I kind of look back on it with some gratitude and appreciation for the fact that I have been exposed to as much as I have. I've seen as much as I have. I've been able to do as much as I have. So I think you're going to always have people who feel like, man, I wish I had more of the same. And then you're going to always have those people that are like, man, it would be really cool to do all of those things, but fear often holds us back. So I feel kind of blessed to have lived the life I've lived.
Why are you always traveling around now?
Well, part of it, I think, is innately in me. So, I am like that crazy person where people are like, what are you doing? Right? And I've been that way my whole life. I march to the beat of my own drum. So when something pulls me, I got to do it. And everyone goes, no, Wendy, you're supposed to live this traditional life. Right? And I'm like, at first, I'll be super honest, when I was in my 20s, I took on a lot of guilt and I felt a lot of shame around the fact that I just did what I wanted to do. And now that I'm 40, I sit there and I go, hell no. I am so freaking lucky that I do all the things that everyone says, well, what if I could do that? What if I just did? And I'm like, well, you know what? I do.
That's my definition of freedom right there, doing exactly what it is you want to do.
And the thing is we all sit there and think, right, well, I've got this one life. Well, how you want to live it, right? Because the life is for you.
Mm-hmm. How often do you stay in one place? Is it extended sometimes? Is it very brief? What does it depend on?
So a lot of it too, because I do anesthesia, is I'll take contracts. So sort of like locum work. You're probably familiar with that terminology. So sometimes 3 months, sometimes 6 months. We were actually in Indiana before this, and we were only there for 6 weeks. So it really depends, but typically it's anywhere between like 3 to 6 months.
And what a world we live in now that you can rent out a beautiful house on the internet and you can make it your own. Is that your stay of choice, Airbnb?
Usually Airbnb. Sometimes there's a site called Furnish Finder, which is really like healthcare friendly. But yeah, I mean, right now we're staying in an Airbnb that's on Mission Beach, like right outside. The view is the water.
That's such a beautiful place.
I know. And it's like, I sat there the other day and I'm like, how lucky are we? That this is our life.
Absolutely. Especially coming from Indiana to California.
Yes.
I lived in California for 4 years, and the people that grew up there, lived there, that's what they know. And they know it's beautiful. But when you come from a place with winter and you stay there for San Diego, you're like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this.
Yes, it is. You have that sense of awe.
Absolutely.
And which is funny you said that, because I was thinking that the other day. I was like, it's like anything you're used to. I wonder if when people are driving around that lived here forever, if they realize like,
oh, yeah,
how fortunate they are.
Some do and some don't.
Yeah,
like anything.
Yeah. Like anything.
Yeah. So Wendy, I would love for you to jump into your story, because you have overcome a lot. From what I'm gathering, it was very unexpected and you had to rebuild your entire life almost. So if we could jump into your story, that would be amazing. When did it start? What were you doing? All of that.
It started very young for me. I had sort of, while I said, took you back to where I had a traditional family. Things unraveled when I was still very young, and I went through a lot of hardships in my family life. I really sort of battled these demons of, I feel like I am meant for something. I don't know what it is, but my parents said, you fit in this box. It needs to come with these certain criteria. So at a very young age, I went to college, like they said, because that was not an option. And not that I'm anti-college. And I got a job out of school thinking, right, I'm going to change the world. Everything's going to be amazing. I'm free, like everybody thinks. And I hated it. My first job that I went into was in finance. And remember I said I was always like a creative person. I was always like out the box thinking, and I'm sitting here doing like statistics and numbers and analytics. And so very quickly, I also said, I marched to the beat of my own drum. And I was like, screw this. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this. So I started career hopping. I don't just mean job hopping. I mean, quite literally
just going from one completely different thing to the next.
Oh my gosh. If I went down the list, I'm like, I've been in finance, I've been a mortgage broker, I've been an underwriter, I've been in sales. I mean, like, and it wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm going to do this for a couple years. I would like do it and I would be like, nope. I'm on a mission to find where I belong. So I did end up I went to nursing school, and then I went to nurse anesthesia school, and I started working in anesthesia again because I started to feel that draw. Like, I want to help people. And I do actually like anesthesia, but it still doesn't feel like the perfect fit for me. It still feels like I'm a very multi-passionate person, and it feels still like in that box. So 2 years into doing anesthesia, one of my colleagues actually introduced me to network marketing. And it was the first sort of sense that I got that you could do your own thing. Maybe, Wendy, you are having all these issues because like what you want to do doesn't exist for you. And so while network marketing wasn't my thing, it was an introduction into entrepreneurship. It was a crash course into what opportunities lie out there. And it was a struggle. Like, I think most people that go into network marketing, God bless you, it is super hard. It is not what you think it is, but it's a pathway. So between trying to build this business and then going to work in the hospital, I neglected everything else in my life. I spent from, probably my mid-teens, and now we're talking about early 30s, dealing with a lot of depression, dealing with a lot of anxiety. I went in and out of having eating disorders. I drank a lot because the drinking for me was like, that's the only way I feel happy. And I think a lot of people fall into some sort of an addiction. And so around the early to mid 30s, my health really started to decline. I was suffering from really bad migraines. I had all of a sudden adult onset asthma, terrible allergies. There was a 6-month period where I was really, really sick. Nobody knew what was wrong with me, but everybody was convinced I was dying. And then I woke up one morning after really dealing with all of this for a while, and I had right-sided weakness. And my husband not knowing what to do, and me sort of being oblivious to what was going on, I went into the hospital and I had a stroke. And this is like my early 30s. So how does that happen to somebody? Now, I am a little bit more predisposed with my migraines and my auras, but it was crazy. At that moment, I realized, holy crap, I now cannot go to work in anesthesia. I don't really have a successful business. What the hell am I going to do? And it felt more low at that point because I had already been sitting in this bubble of life sucks. Everything happens to me. I'm miserable. I'm anxious. I'm depressed. Now what? And I think for me, and I think for a lot of people, there's an event that happens in your life that's like hits that wake up button.
If you're lucky. If that event happens. Yeah.
And it's so funny because so many people say to me when they hear that, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm really not. Because it really made me say, I'm done. I'm not going to live my life like this anymore. Everything else is unimportant if I can't wake up in the morning and I can't function and I can't be me and I can't find purpose and happiness and love and light. So I literally pushed everything else aside and I said, I got to focus on me, which is interesting because I had somebody on Instagram yesterday type in, I feel so selfish worrying about me. And I'm like, we have to revisit that because if you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to be available to help take care of anybody else? You cannot. And so I really went on this journey of rediscovery. I was not spiritual before at all. If you talk to me about mindset, other than doing the stuff for network marketing, I was just like, I wasn't absorbing anything because I was too focused on my own woes. And through that process, it was about 6 months. I regained my strength on the right side. I came off all my antidepressants. I started meditating regularly. All of a sudden, that void that I had been searching to fill by like career hopping diminished.
Did you stop working or worked a little bit and worked on yourself?
I actually was not able to work.
Okay, so it was
because
just
it was
pure,
a safety issue.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It was pure me just being like, no more. I'm done.
What did some of those days look like for, how does one really take a look at that and take advantage of these days and move forward?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it does depend on the person. For me, I actually started meditating, which was super powerful because it was almost like reverting to being a kid again for me. Those times when I used to sit there and I just used to daydream and allow myself to be, it was like, wow, it's still there. I just wasn't paying attention to it. And there was a lot of, and obviously being no stranger to going to school, there was a lot of journaling. There was a lot of reading, researching. I took on a mentor, started doing online courses. I mean, when you talk about like, I went from not being spiritual, not being mindset oriented to being like, I can't consume enough. It was literally like that. Like, this is it. And the more you do it and the better you start feeling and the more results you start getting, the more it sort of like pulls you in and you're like, oh my God, this is it. This is what I've been missing.
What does being spiritual mean to you? Because it's a very broad term that I feel like gets lost. And so what does it mean for you?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly truly believe that you cannot have spirituality without science. You can't have science without spirituality. And religion, I feel like when we intertwine these three words, right, they all are talking about the same thing using different terminology. I think being spiritual is about still believing there's something bigger than you. For me, that's God, the universe, the collective.
Whatever you want to call it, right?
Whatever you want to call it. There is no judgment. It is about love is the way. It's the solution to all of our problems. It is belief in yourself and each other and that we're all interconnected. So whatever it is that I do and who I am being affects you and affects everyone. We all feel and change and grow and evolve as one, even though we're only seeing ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people are very religious and religion's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's at the end of the day, I think the real question is, or the real statement is, show me. Well, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim. It's okay, show me what that is. Because if you're just regurgitating a book, it's kind of like how you were with the mindset. You were just you were regurgitating. It wasn't set in stone. Like you weren't embodying it yet. It's almost like embody what your belief is.
I completely agree. And the other thing I love to say is there are people that I've actually had conversations with recently that are like very Christian. And they say, it's in the Bible, it says, this is the only way. And I said, so if you were born in another country, let's just say you weren't born here. You were born from parents that were Muslim. And, in that religion, they believe that too. So does that mean that you're then going to go to hell? Because you have to understand that there's nothing wrong with you believing what you believe.
However it is you want to get there is fine. There's many ways to get there. Yeah, absolutely.
I 100% love what you said about show me, embody it.
And so when you're starting to have more good days than bad and you are starting to heal, what was the next step for you? What did you want to do?
I felt like, okay, so I want people to really understand there's no such thing as every day is a good day. And there's no such thing as life is still bliss. This is a constant work in progress, a constant evolvement, because as you grow, right, then it's like you're just climbing the stairs. Now there's a whole nother set of obstacles that you have to learn to overcome and evolve. For me, as I continue to grow, you can't help but look back and see the people that look exactly the way you just felt. And have this desire to say, there's a better way. I know you don't see it because I couldn't see it. And for me, in the role I am now, I fully understand I cannot help somebody who does not have the desire, can't see it, doesn't want it, doesn't believe it. That's okay. That's for them. But there are people that are in different steps, and there are people that are starting to see it. There are people that are starting to want it. They don't know how. And so it became, for me, almost like this calling, I would say, to turn around and say, I got you. I've been there. I've done that. I know exactly how it feels. I don't know how it feels for you, but maybe we have some of the similar type emotions that you're experiencing, and I can show you what I did, and maybe that will help you create your own way.
That's so powerful, and healing is when the person that is helping you has been there. It gives that person the faith to know that it's possible to heal when they're looking at somebody that went through it themselves. That's such a powerful thing to have on their side.
I agree. I completely agree. And here's the thing that I love. Even when I'm at work at the hospital, patients, they're terrified, especially when they're about ready to have surgery. And I feel like I have gained so many wonderful skills that even in like a super PC, non-spiritual way, I can try to provide comfort and understanding. So I feel like it has helped me in so many aspects of my life.
Absolutely. Yeah. My story, I had a bunch of ice hockey concussions. And for 4 years, I had blurred vision, dizziness, headaches, anxiety, depression, and nobody knew what was going on. And I landed in an upper cervical chiropractic office, and it saved my life. And so I have a bunch of people that come to me with the same things. And just knowing that somebody's been there and it's capable of beating a traumatic brain injury, I honestly think that helps other people out tremendously. And it doesn't have to be with chiropractic. It could be with absolutely anything. It just, the light of possibility and hope is a huge thing when it comes to any form of healing.
I agree. And that is the big thing. You just said hope. People need to know it's possible.
Absolutely.
You got to give yourself the shot, but it's possible.
And this is your domain. It helps change the mindset because a lot of healing takes place up here first and foremost. A lot of people that want to be healed, and like you kind of said, that there's people on different levels of, some people are like, oh, I'm not sure if this is going to work. I'll give it a shot. And there's other people like, let's do it. I'm in. What do I have to do? And the people that come into my office with that mindset, they heal tremendously faster than the person that walks in and says, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't really know what to expect. They'll still get better, but the mindset is just huge when it comes to healing.
That's that placebo effect.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love talking to people about that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, if you believe, the faith, the belief, the perseverance, the understanding, you're in control of this.
Yeah.
Huge.
And that's why that lucky moment we were both talking about that doesn't seem so lucky, it's do this or bust. There's no plan B. You get to that point where you burn your bridges. There's no plan B. This is the only way I'm going. And when you tell people that moment of your story, they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's like, no. It was the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's tunnel vision. It's the only way you're going.
Yeah. And if you think about it, and this may have been true for you too, is that there were signs all along the way. There were a lot more subtle.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't pay attention to them. So finally, for me anyways, I say the universe is like going to smack you from behind and is like, okay, you're not getting it. We're going to make you get it now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Absolutely. So in your journey, what did it lead to for you?
Well, it has led to doing exactly what I said, that sort of calling. And it's always evolving, but it is to help people. And typically what's interesting is at first, I just wanted to help everyone. And then, that wanted the help. And then I found that there are certain people who feel a lot more pressure, a lot more drive to want the change. And that was people that were very similar to the way I was when I said, I don't belong in a box. I'm here to do something more. I'm here to share with the world something. I don't know what it is. And so I started really niching down into entrepreneurs because I do feel like there's something about that entrepreneurial spirit. It may not be that you're actually wanting to start a business, but there's something in you that's trying to kind of like come out through you. And so helping them really transform their mindset so you can get clarity around what it is you really want. Because when you're seeing through a fog, you have no freaking idea. You're just like, I'll try. It was me, right? I'll try this. I'll try that. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll go back to school. And I had no idea I was pulling at strings. I needed to get out of the fog.
Yeah. So what you just said there, clarity, I think that is top 2 or 3 most important things of getting what you want when you actually tell the universe what it is you want. How do we, because, you know, it's like people say, oh, I want a car. It's like, okay, what kind of car do you want? The people that aren't clear, they might get a really shitty car. And the people that I want a red Porsche convertible with, you know, all the bells and whistles, they've narrowed it down. They're very clear they'll get that car. And when you just ask the universe for a car, you can literally get anything. So how do you help your clients get that clarity and get clear and narrow down what they want?
So part of what I do, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, have you ever heard of human design?
I don't think so.
Okay. So basically human design is when you were born, and this is going to get kind of woo-woo here, but stick with me. Yeah. When you were born, there is like basically a picture. Think of like astrology, right? The way that the stars and all of that was aligned, the way the energy was moving. This is called, and it's formulated not into astrology, although astrology influences, it is formulated into sort of your energetic makeup. Using that, there are different types of people. And before, I'll be super honest, I taught that everyone had to get super specific. You got to be specific. The more specific, the better, because if you don't ask for exactly what you want, the universe doesn't understand. It'll give you like a penny and be like, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's the money you want.
And so what I've learned is there are 2 types of manifestors. There are specific manifestors. I happen to be one. I like to sit down and say, what do I want? And how much will it cost me? I need to add tax onto that. Exactly what is the color? How does it feel? What am I smelling? All of these things. And then there are people that it absolutely overwhelms them. And they're like, I don't know how to do that. So and I typically look it up. So those who are specific manifestors, you have to get very clear on what it is you want. And if you don't know what you want, you're going to start with how do you want to feel? So if you're like, okay, I'm a specific manifestor and I want a dream house, but I don't really know what I want in the house. Okay, let's start with how do you want the house to make you feel? What do you want to be nearby? What do you want to see? What do you want to have access to, right? You start with those sort of things. I want, a house that's on the water and the water is blue and there's really amazing restaurants and food nearby and I can get to an airport within 30 minutes, those sort of things. If you're a non-specific manifestor.
This is what I'm most curious about. I've always only heard of the specific one.
Yes. And that's what's so interesting. And I think it really makes a big difference. So if you're a specific manifestor, vision boards, journaling, huge for you, right? Getting very specific. If you're a non-specific, believe it or not, things like vision boards, journaling, specifics may not be the best for you. So what you need to do is 100% always focus on what you want to bring in and the feeling. So while specific can start with the feeling and move towards the specifics, non-specific will always focus on how do I want this to make me feel? So if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking, for me, I would be specific. I'd be like, I want to make $1 million or I want to make $992,000, whatever. A non-specific will say, what is the money going to do for you? Okay, what is it that how is it that money is going to make you feel? What is it about getting this money? What is it that's going to improve your life, improve your business, improve your state, right? Which state is like happiness, joy, fulfillment. And that is what you're going to focus on, who you're becoming. Not what you're getting, who you're becoming.
So money as the example here for non-specific, Are you picking a dollar amount, or you're just kind of feeling how that money is going to make you feel, change your life, all that?
So you can pick a dollar amount, but it doesn't have to be specific. So remember, like on the specific side, what you're going to do is say, what is it I want? And you're going to reverse engineer. So if I want, a certain house or dream house, I'm going to say, how much will that cost me? And you're going to work backwards on coming up with the dollar amount that's going to give you what it is you want. For the non-specific, you're just going to be like, I think I really want to make $30,000 a month. And you're going to focus on
how that's going to make you feel.
Right. Exactly. And you're not going to sit there and dwell on the number as much as what that number you came up with means to you.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely more on the non-specific side. I've had a lot of amazing things happen to me. And I didn't have that one specific, like, this is it. Like, I've lived in $2 million houses in chiropractic school on student loans, like on the beach. And the one guy was from like the East Coast. I'm from New Jersey. He was from New York. He's like, I want to help you. Like, we'll get you in here. Don't worry about the money. And it's like, it was too good to be true. It actually happened. And I wanted a house on the beach in chiropractic school. And if you tell anybody, that's ludicrous. It's like,
right.
any money, that's never going to happen. And strangely enough, it was one of the best experiences of my life. And it was very non-specific. And recently, I've been trying to get very specific. So I'm thinking maybe just go back to the non-specific and do it that way.
Yeah. Here's how you can find out. I'll send you some information after this. It won't give you all of the details, but it will give you the basics. I'll send you a link. You can go to mybodygraph.com and put in your birth details. And if your arrow, so there's 4 arrows there, there's 2 on the right and 2 on the left. So the one that is on the bottom right, it is facing towards the right, you're non-specific.
Okay.
If it is facing left, you're specific.
So this is a link based on birthday and all that?
Yeah, it asks like your name, your birth date, your birth time, and the city, and then like the country. And it'll auto-populate the state.
My girlfriend is huge on all astrology and all that. And I've been like, when she first started doing it, I was like, and then you find out some really cool things. And if you're open to it, it's a very cool experience.
It's amazing.
Very, very cool experience.
When I do human design readings for people, they're always shocked at how accurate it is. And I love it because literally you can find out like where you've been, where you're going, where your business is going, your Chiron, which is your wounding. I mean, there's so much stuff. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Where did that come in to play for you? Like the astrology part and that aspect of what you do? Because I heard you mention a little bit, but it didn't sound like it was something you were into from the very beginning, or did you find that later?
No, it's only actually been a couple of months that I've gotten into it. And I think that might be the specific part of me, because I still love, the science part. While astrology is not science, it kind of is. So is that part of me that was still searching for another piece to make things more specific to the person. So I feel like in the mindset, in the speakers that are on stage that are uplifting. I don't know why I can't think of the word for this right now.
Motivational speakers.
Yes, there you go. The motivational speakers, we're speaking to the masses. But the reason I think there is a disconnect between hearing and absorbing is when you're speaking to the masses, you may not be speaking to me. And so what I love about incorporating this is I can quite literally speak to you and say, I can help you decondition. I can help you reprogram your subconscious mind because I love things like meditation and tapping and all of these other modalities. But I don't want to help you with things that are actually your strength. I want to go ahead and say, hey, by the way, did you realize this? Because you might not even realize it. But I want to help you in the areas that you really need to have that deconditioning in so you get the most impact.
I love what you're bringing to the table because it's different. There's a lot of coaches and people that try to get you what you want, like life coaches per se, that are just kind of doing the same take on everything. And I always like people that are putting their own spin and combining things to really help people. And you're passionate about it, which is great too.
And I think that comes from, like walking in
absolutely
the shoes I have walked in.
Absolutely. And there is something to say about, I don't know what made me think of this, but you were just saying something when I was thinking of my own story of trying to find the right doctor to help me. I was going to all these brilliant doctors, everybody you were trying to see with, they would just tell me all these big words and how we're going to get you better. And I didn't understand, like, what they were saying was almost just not making sense to me. And I found this one doctor who didn't use any big jargon, was a straight shooter, sat down and met me on my level. And that was the person that healed me and will help me heal to get where I was. And I feel like you definitely have to find that person that resonates with you, regardless of what it looks like.
Yes. And I think that'll be different for everyone. And that's why it's so important to show up as authentic as you can, no matter who you are. Because I always tell people, like, if you're walking around being vanilla because you think everyone is like okay with vanilla,
yeah.
I don't know too many people that walk into 31 flavors and pick vanilla.
Yeah.
And then how will the people who truly love Rocky Road find you?
Yeah. The people that really need it, you're missing out on. Yeah.
You're missing them.
Yeah.
So, and to talk about what you were just talking about, the chiropractor who helped you, how incredible was it that not only did he heal you, but also inspired you to be who you are?
Well, the craziest thing about that whole entire story is I was about 4 or 5 years in. I woke up one day and I was like, I'm ending it. I can't take the pain anymore. I'm killing myself. And then about a year after, that was my rock bottom moment where I'm like, I'm doing everything in my power to get healed and I don't care what it's going to take. And then I'm going to share that gift with the world. Fast forward 2 years later, I was about to drop out of chiropractic school because my headaches were so bad. And I was getting ready to leave that weekend. And my friend goes, I might know one person that could help you. And so I go to this guy's office. I'm telling him my story and he's laughing. Not laughing, but he's smirking. And I'm like, what is so funny? This is not a funny story. And he was like, Kevin, everything you're telling me, I've been through myself. This completely saved my life. And there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to help you get back on track too. And I could have went anywhere that day. I could have said no. It would have been like my 20th doctor I went to see. I'm like, this is not it. And it's just how it's crazy how the universe, the world, whatever you want to call it, leads you to certain aspects of your life. And there's moments that are just too good to be true. And that was one of them. It was just like, can't believe it.
How powerful is that?
Yeah.
It's incredible that now, and you probably did even then too, you recognize these things, but when you're in the fog, this is happening to you all the time and you don't recognize it. You don't see there's a path here. There is a path. You're always so supported. You're always so guided. There are people on your side. Believe in that.
How do you get your clients to see the signs and lift the fog and ask for help?
I truly believe I can't. I don't believe I can heal anybody. I can love them. I can guide them. I always say, I can take you to the water. I cannot make you drink. That comes from you. The only person who can heal is the person themselves. You're just like the guide, the navigator, the tool, right? So it has to come from them. And when they are receptive to what I say or what I offer or what guidance I provide, they will take the actions that they need. And that's all I can do. I can be there for support. You got to heal yourself.
Absolutely. So, Wendy, what exactly is it that you do? Who are your clients that you help?
Yeah. So I focus primarily on entrepreneurs, and I do a lot of reconditioning, or what people call subconscious reprogramming. And I use modalities such as human design, meditation, tapping, and I do this to help people an awareness, right? That awareness key where they understand things like what is fear from a biological standpoint, because people feel fear and then they think that means I can't. And then I try to help people understand, look, this is like your brain's number one function is survival. And the number two is to keep you safe from the potential of pain, whether it's emotional, financial, spiritual, whatever it is. So that check engine light that comes on in your body, if you were driving your car and the check engine light came on, would you all of a sudden pull over, freak out, be like, oh my God, I got to get an Uber. No way, the car is falling apart. Or would you take note of it and say, okay, there's something going on here. I should probably get that checked out.
Yes, definitely.
I'm thinking too, some of you might really freak out, but so fear is nothing more than your brain saying, ho, 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 there could be a problem here. But it's outdated software. It doesn't understand that there is a difference between I am unsafe and I am uncomfortable. And so giving people, understanding, awareness about these sort of things, and then helping them to navigate through releasing all of the automatic habits, beliefs that do not actually serve the path that you're trying to walk. So I help people learn how to meditate in a specific way, the way that I have done it, which is actually very interesting. I've never heard anyone teach it this way, but I have decided I'm not going, like I said, I march to my own drum. So I am like, look, this is what worked for me. It may not sound like what you've ever heard, but this is how we're going to do it. And then I teach people how to disconnect from, because you can't meditate 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Right.
When you're having that, like, oh, I'm getting the anxiety, I'm getting the fear, I'm getting whatever. All right, this is how we're going to disconnect it.
Disconnect it, yeah.
Disconnect it in that moment so you can gain the clarity. And then what I love about human design is it is another piece that brings in awareness, that thing where you're like, man, I'm so sensitive. This is awful. I feel bad about it. Guess what? That might be your gift. Maybe it helps you to be more empathetic. It helps you to sense the collective energy. It helps you in so many ways. How can you use that? And then here are the areas where you may have conditioning, or here are the areas where I don't like to say that I like it to be empowering. So where some people may say, this could be your weakness. I say, no, this is where you have the opportunity to become the most wise in this lifetime. This is where you can truly grow. And I think when you go from that standpoint, you're unstoppable, right?
Recipe for success.
What do you want? Now you can have it.
Yeah, I love that. Wendy, where can people find you? Where can they make an appointment with you and just get more information on your services?
So I mostly hang out on Instagram, and my handle is at Higher Vibe Collective. There a lot in my link section. I actually, if you're an entrepreneur, there is a guide. It's a free guide on there. It is all about this awareness piece. It's all about bringing to the forefront 6 of what I like to call the 6 mindset shifts to 6 figures, which is those pieces that tend to play over and over and over again as a theme in the collective. And I think when you read through it, it will really help provide some of that clarity piece. So if you go to the link,
and it's free.
Bio, you can get that. And it is free. 100% free.
Love that. And Wendy, at the end of every show, I'd like to ask all my guests, what is one piece of advice that really resonates with you that you would like to gift the audience? It could be absolutely anything.
If I could leave you with anything, I want you to understand that you don't belong in a box. You have the power within you to do, be, have anything you truly set, not your mind, but your heart to. And all you have to do, honestly, is believe that that is true, and it can be yours.
Love that. Wendy, thank you so much for coming on. I really love this episode. You're great, very interesting. You have a beautiful story, and I would honestly love to have you back on anytime down the road.
Anytime. It's been such a pleasure. I really, really enjoyed this. I'm actually very fascinated by your story as well. I think it's incredible and a testament to exactly how this all works, right?
Well, that's why when I saw your story, I was like, this is it. She's perfect for the Expect Miracles podcast. That's why I love hearing people. My favorite thing to do is to hear how people got from A to B. And especially with a story like that, it's so empowering, and it just helps out a lot of other people that may not be in the right spot. Thank you for laying all the cards out on the table too.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. And enjoy California. I see that bright, beautiful sunshine beaming through the window. So I'll let you know.
All right.
I will talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you enjoy the podcast, subscribe, give us 5 stars, and leave a review. It really helps boost the podcast and spread the good word. My chiropractic practice is located in West Orange, New Jersey at Montclair Upper Cervical Chiropractic. You can also find us on Facebook at Montclair Upper Cervical Chiropractic. All of my information is on my website at drkevinpecca.com, drkevinpecca.com. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Dr. Kevin Pecca for podcast episodes, patient testimonials, and educational videos. I have daily affirmations and inspirational quotes on Instagram at Easel Affirmations, EASEL Affirmations. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at drkevinpecca@gmail.com, drkevinpecca@gmail.com. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Cheers.